Let's cut the crap and dive straight into the dumpster fire that is Ben Shapiro's worldview. The guy who brags about facts don't care about your feelings somehow manages to spew some of the most feelings-driven, racist, and downright absurd nonsense you'll ever hear. We're going to use his own words, yes, actual quotes, to show just how insane and offensive his takes really are. Buckle up. Starting with race, because Shapiro's track record here is a masterclass in tone-deaf bigotry. He once said, "If you wear your pants below your butt, don't bend the brim of your cap and have an EBT card. 0% chance you will ever be a success in life." Translation: if you're poor or black, it's because you dress wrong and use welfare. Never mind centuries of systemic racism, redlining, mass incarceration, or economic inequality. Nope, just pull up your pants and stop using food stamps, and you're golden. This is the kind of garbage that belongs in a bad 90s sitcom, not on a platform with millions of viewers. But wait, it gets worse. Shapiro called Colin Powell an affirmative action general, and Barack Obama an affirmative action president. He claimed the Obama administration was using racism to let black criminals off the hook, justify illegal immigration, hamstring law enforcement across the country, and push redistribution as a solution to supposed continuing discrimination against people of color. Then he warned, the next race war will come not from racist whites, but from racist blacks and Hispanics who feel empowered to act on their racism by an administration that excuses all minority misbehavior. This is not subtle dog whistling. This is a full-on foghorn of white grievance politics, painting minorities as the real villains while ignoring the very real and ongoing racism they face. In 2018, Shapiro doubled down on this toxic narrative by arguing that assuming all black people are criminals is just using group data, not racism. He justified avoiding young black people on the street and refusing to hire black people if background checks aren't possible. Let that sink in. The guy is basically saying racial profiling is not only acceptable but logical. This isn't facts and logic, it's blatant racism dressed up as science. He's also said the Civil Rights Act was wrong because it infringed on the freedoms of private businesses, specifically the freedom to discriminate against black people. So, in Shapiro's world, your right to be a bigot trumps someone else's right to live free of discrimination. That's not conservative principle, that's cruelty. And when police kill unarmed black people, Shapiro is always there to defend the cops. He claimed Eric Garner was not murdered by the cops and that his death was due to a heart attack, despite the medical examiner's findings that police restraint caused his death. He did the same with Breonna Taylor, consistently blaming victims and exonerating law enforcement. This is the kind of callousness that fuels protests and unrest. Now onto communism, where Shapiro's analysis is basically a toddler throwing a tantrum. He famously said, "Communism bad. Also evil. Also killed 100 million people." So I'm bewildered by people who are romantic toward communism. That's it. No nuance, no historical context, just a blunt meme-like statement that sounds like it was ripped from a Reddit comment thread. He uses this simplistic Red Scare to shut down any discussion about social programs or economic reforms, equating universal health care or welfare with Stalinist purges. He also claims the people who are the most anti-communism in America are people who left communist countries who actually lived in these places. Sure, lived experience matters, but Shapiro wields this like a cudgel to silence anyone who dares question capitalism or inequality in the US. It's a lazy appeal to authority that ignores the fact that many Americans suffer under their own brand of economic hardship. Then there's this gem about American privilege. There's such an inherent level of ingratitude in America right now. It's astonishing to me. People who are born on third base and think they hit a triple, if people actually have the ability to take a time machine, then they might be a little bit more grateful for what it is they have here in the United States. And fortunately, there is a time machine. It's called an airplane. All you have to do is take that airplane to a third world country, and you will quickly recognize that the United States is a damned phenomenal place. Translation: if you're poor or struggling in America, it's your fault. Don't complain about healthcare, wages, or systemic barriers. Just be grateful you're not starving in some third world country. It's the ultimate eat your vegetables, kids in Africa are starving argument, but with a smug, condescending twist. Now, let's talk about Israel and social issues, where Shapiro's rhetoric becomes downright incendiary. He said, Israelis like to build. Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Settlements rot. That's not just racist, it's genocidal dehumanization in a single tweet. He reduces millions of Palestinians to bombing crap and living in filth, ignoring decades of occupation, displacement, and suffering. He also declared, there cannot and will not be a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria, both because Judea and Samaria are the most historic part of Jewish Israel, and also because, realistically, no Palestinian state would be anything but a terror entity aimed at the heart of Israel. No room for compromise or peace, just a hardline stance that dismisses Palestinian rights entirely. On Hamas in Gaza, Shapiro said, Hamas needs to be eradicated, needs to be wiped from the face of the earth. Every Hamas member needs to die. It is that simple. And for students who support Palestinians, anyone that is not a citizen of the United States and supports Hamas should immediately be deported. No nuance, no distinction between peaceful protest and terrorism, just blanket condemnation and calls for mass deportation. Finally, on LGBTQ rights, abortion, and trans issues, Shapiro's views are equally regressive. He claims, I believe in the traditional definition of marriage and that the state should offer benefits to such marriages because it's in the state's inherent interest to support father-mother-children nuclear families. I do not believe in the regulation of same-sex relationships. I am entirely pro-life because I believe unborn human beings deserve to live. I believe men cannot become women, that there are only two sexes, male and female, and that men with gender dysphoria remain men. In other words, he dismisses the identities and rights of millions of people as nonsense and insists on imposing a narrow, outdated worldview on everyone else. So, what have we learned? Ben Shapiro's facts and logic often boil down to thinly veiled racism, extreme right-wing ideology, and a complete lack of empathy or nuance. His rhetoric isn't just controversial, it's dangerous. It fuels division, dismisses real suffering, and promotes policies that harm marginalized communities. Next time someone tells you Shapiro is a truth teller or a logical genius, hit them with these quotes. Because sometimes the facts do care about your feelings, especially when those facts are just bigotry in a suit.